the wonderful Chopin Prelude number 22 in G minor. He wrote 24 preludes altogether. They were written in an interesting time in his life. He was already sick with tuberculosis and having to live in a monastery in Mallorca, which was cold and damp. And he was probably feverish and in the full bloom of his creative imagination and language, which I'd like to talk about the extraordinary harmonic choices that Chopin makes. Being in G minor would be a traditional sound to use, but what he does to give it this shocking and daring quality is by raising the fourth, becomes a C sharp. So we're hearing this harmony throughout the piece. As he starts the piece, that's all pretty G minor, without any warning at all. He does an enormous leap from here to that C sharp. We are not expecting that. And then from there, he comes down. And with your chart here, you'll easily see that the second system here is an exact repeat except up an octave. So it makes it very easy to track and learn this first page. When we start the second time, this time he goes to the G. Listen to the tension in that. Half steps. And then in one flourish, he does this fabulous octave passage. Okay. Now, before I get on to the second page, I want to point out what he does in the right hand. Chopin was greatly influenced by Bach and the use of multi-voices. Pretty much all the time you will find in the right hand writing stems going up, which indicate the soprano line, and stems going down, which indicate the alto line. They are two separate voices, and you need to hear them and practice them like that. So if we take our chords in the opening, that's really built on this. And the other part, downward stems, go. Just the reverse, and then that's a separate part. So if you can't hear that when you play the part as written, hear that as a separate line. One final way I like to do this is to block everything together. It's just a beautiful way to get the richness. It feels so nice in the hands to play this piece. Chopin, being a superlative pianist, wrote probably the most pianistic music, he and Liszt and Rachmaninoff, and it is a joy to play. It just fits the hands so beautifully. Okay, now let's go on to the second page. I can't wait to share this part with you. The use of enharmonicity, enharmonic tones, which we have, this note is either a C sharp or a D flat, depending on how it looks in the music. The listener can't tell the difference, but when you learn it as the student, there's a big difference. And Chopin uses this C sharp all the way through on page 1, and on page 2 he turns it into a D flat. Let's see how he does that with our... Oh, and this right here, these last 2 measures of your end of page 1, this is kind of tricky. So pay careful attention to this, the last 2 measures, because very interesting part is this, there's a lot of tension and pulling apart at the end. Notice how I bring out G, A flat. Okay, here we are. Now this is D flat. This is just a thrilling moment in the piece. Look what we have in the right hand at the top of page 2. So triumphant. This A flat major. You want to hear that. Again, we have the 2 parts, the upward stems, and the lowers. And notice that they have little tiny diminuendos and slurs. So they're like little waves. Yada, bottom, bottom, bottom. Play it like that. And one of the tricks on this is to use your arms and pull down with the arms. Sustain the upper notes and release the lowers. So you're having to split the hand into the 2 parts and have 2 different articulations going on at the same time. And then with the left hand, these incredible. This is like a mnemonic. It's a non-stop movement and propulsion with this left hand writing. These are the pitches of the A flat major scale. Doesn't really sound like it, but it is. Until it repeats here. We're out of A flat major sound. Where are we going? We will be. Which brings me to the next very important point of this chart. I'm really thrilled about this chart because it turns the music so unmistakably into the easily learned and assimilated sections that it's made of. And what I did is to line up on page 2 this long series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Same repeat. This is an identical repeat. These 2 lines. So once you've learned the first line, you've learned the second. At the end of that line, I have what's called a link measure. It's only used at this part of the piece in its totality of 2 measures. It sounds like this. And he can either then repeat that pattern, which he does when he goes on to our final system of the piece. It's just absolutely brilliant to take that pattern. The first time it's only like this. Here's the second time. And again for partial. Here it's different. And that wonderful tritone. Like this. That augmented fourth. He's adding tension. He can't get away from it. Nothing but tension. Here's the last line. Recapitulation. Unexpected. 1, 2. It's 3 times this. And I've marked it in my music. Let's take the left hand alone here. Recapitulation. Actually, that's legato. Instead of, which he does at the beginning, he stays on the A. 3 of them. What is he gonna do? Of course, that C sharp one last time. Oh my God, that's almost frightening. So let me play the very end for you here. It's so wonderful. So we really have a 4-5-1 in the form of a raised 4, 5, and 1. So even your basic 4-5-1 cadence is not basic with Chopin. Now, before I play the piece for you all the way through, I'd like to share with you what for me was the defining moment in my life as becoming a musician. I was 8 years old, and my mother made me watch, well, I shouldn't say made me, she lovingly asked me to watch this movie called A Song to Remember. It was about the life of Chopin. And when I finished watching that movie, I was absolutely in tears because one of the pieces that was played in the movie was his famous second scherzo. I was so devastated I couldn't even talk when the movie was over. I was in a cloud for about 3 hours. And then I knew I wanted to do this with my life. And now I'm going to play the piece for you.